What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Formula America podcast. We're your hosts, Kurt and Dylan. And finally, Formula One's most eligible bachelor has chosen his match. And probably what's been one of the worst kept secrets all year.
Yeah.
But it's official, man. Adrian Newey's going to Aston Martin on a pretty big freaking deal, too.
So I watched the interview, or I've watched clips of it. And one of the things that one of the journalists asked, he asked a different question, but in the question, he pointed out that Adrian Newey is now the highest paid sports person in the entirety of the UK.
Wow. And he's not even doing anything athletic.
No.
He's working out his mind.
Yeah. Man, but you couldn't wipe the smile off of Lawrence Stroll's face.
Oh my God. He was like a kid that finally was able to get the toy that he's been begging his parents for. But I mean, I don't blame him, man.
No.
Lawrence Stroll, as much shit as we talk about Lawrence Stroll, I got to respect it because he came in and he said 5 years, I'm going to be challenging for championships in 5 years. And we're on, I think, year 2.5 or something of that plan. And I mean, he's doing everything that he looks like he needs to be doing to get there.
Minus
he's making
one of the drivers, but you know.
Damn it, Dylan. It took you a minute. I was like, how long is it going to take?
Lawrence is ever going to come on this podcast with how much shit. At least I talk. I don't talk shit about Lawrence Stroll though. I'm a fan of him. I just hate his son.
I know it's like that one thing. It's like you could have such a great team, but you just got that one little thing right there, and it's Lance.
It's not that little of a thing because he's, the driver. So
that's true. But I mean, other than that, Lawrence is doing on the surface, it looks like he's doing everything he needs to put his team in that position. And this right here is just another step in that direction.
Oh, completely. I mean, you couldn't wipe the smile off his face. He was talking about what a bargain it was. I don't even know how much Adrian's getting paid, but I'm sure it has a couple of commas in there.
So the rumors are, and from what I'm seeing reported now, is $30 million a year over 5 years, plus an untold number of shares in Aston Martin.
Because he said that he's a shareholder in the team now. Yep.
So, I mean, that could be, who knows? Yeah. And the better they do, the more exponentially more that goes up. But yeah, $150 million over 5 years is a lot, especially when he was reported to be getting $10 million a year at Red Bull.
That's it?
3x his salary.
That's it? Only 10?
Yeah, just $10 million as a base salary. I mean, I don't understand how he's feeding his family on that.
Man, that's insane.
But yeah, so what is he? He's officially a shareholder and the managing technical partner. So I don't even know what that means.
It means he just gets to design the car and do whatever the hell he wants.
I think so. I think he gets to do what he wants. We know that they brought in Dan Fallows, a year or 2 years ago, who was basically his number 2 at Red Bull. Mm-hmm. So now the band is back together again over here at Aston Martin. And so I think it's exciting. This is going to be potentially pretty big for this team.
I mean, it's kind of one of those stories you hope to see succeed, right? Like he built a brand new factory with the latest and greatest everything, wind tunnel, design layout of the factory. He's bringing all of the right people in. I kind of hope to see him succeed as opposed to, some of these teams that are using the same setup they had 30 years ago. And they're making the best out of it. They're doing upgrades and whatnot, but you kind of have the new kid on the block doing the new techniques, the latest and greatest. And it's like, I hope he does well. I really do.
Well, this is kind of a page out of Newey's playbook. This is something that he's done with his other teams. And so for people who don't understand why this is a big deal, you just got to look at his stats. Adrian Newey is kind of one of the GOATs of Formula One. Like when you think of the GOATs, a lot of people think of drivers, but Adrian Newey is definitely in that conversation. He's got 25 different world championships to his name, 12 of which are constructors, 13 are drivers championships. He was basically the driving force behind the most dominant Formula One car of all time in the RB19. And so when he went to McLaren, when he went to Williams, they were kind of young teams, and he was able to build those teams up to be championship winning teams. And he's kind of just repeating the same thing.
Red Bull too with Vettel.
Yeah, same thing at Red Bull too. And so now he's kind of potentially doing the same thing at Aston Martin. So that's why it's so exciting, because he's got such a storied history and such success that comes along with him.
It'll be interesting. I do have to say, when the journalist asked him about Ferrari, it was a very awkward, like, he did not want to answer that question. I think very straightforward. He was kind of like, yeah, I talked with other teams, not all, most of them approached me. I didn't respond to all of them. And I'm here now. It's like, oh, okay. There's so much under the table behind the scenes in Formula One. I wish I could be a fly on the wall for half of it.
Oh, yeah. And that as soon as he announced he was leaving Red Bull, I'm sure every team up and down the paddock had a meeting. It was like, hey, are we going to shoot our shot for this guy?
Yeah.
And one thing I found in the press conference today that was pretty interesting is when he referred to Red Bull, he didn't say Red Bull. He's just the old team.
Yeah.
Which I understand, it's an Aston Martin press conference, but it's just funny to be like, just the old team. They don't even have a name.
I wonder how awkward it is, like, the rest of the season. We're only we're past the halfway point, but like, got 9 races left to go, and Adrian's still on the Red Bull wall. I wonder if it's awkward in any way. Like, would you be expecting Adrian to put his best foot forward, helping to continue to develop the car in next year's car? Like, I'm curious how that dynamic works out.
Yeah, I think for them, well, the way it happened, because rumored he wanted to leave because of the issues with Christian Horner. So I think that relationship has been kind of soured for a while. So I'm sure probably all sides are like ready to cut and run. But yeah, whenever you see that happen, like, I think Lewis is probably leaving on good terms.
Yeah. And Lewis is driving his heart out for Mercedes. Like, there's no holding back whatsoever.
The one who might be a little sour is, Carlos didn't want to really leave. I mean, I'm sure he understands why, but still he's kind of like, come on, guys. And, K-Mag down there, I don't know.
Do you think Russell kind of has a bad taste that he did 3 years at Williams to get to Mercedes, and Kimi Antonelli's walking straight on into Mercedes?
I think this is a topic for its own podcast. I was thinking about that. If I'm George Russell, I don't feel very secure in my future right now.
No.
Whatsoever.
No.
Because you see that Kimi is kind of the wonder kid, and there's all these rumors that Toto's still shooting his shot with Max Verstappen. So if Max comes over, then George Russell is going to be just like Carlos Sainz. I mean, it's like, hey, sorry, you got to go. We got Kimi and now Max. But we could talk about that for an entire episode.
Yeah, that's all speculation, but I do agree with you. I just wonder if he kind of looks out of the corner of his eye at Kimi like, I had to do what to get here? And you're just strolling on in? Like,
yeah.
Meanwhile, Ollie Behrman's in the back with Ocon, like, please help.
He beats me.
On to that, we've got 2 more seats that haven't been filled.
There are still 2 seats.
One one with an asterisk.
We got VCARB and we've got the Sauber / Audi seat, which I have my predictions, but I'd be interested to see what you think about these two.
I mean, the VCARB I think is a done deal. I think it's either going to be Liam or Danny. It doesn't really matter either way. It's going to be one of those two. We're not bringing anybody else in. It might be Checo. Maybe Checo goes back. But I think it will be one of those 3 that are going to sit in that seat. And I don't know how much of a story that is. Sauber, I don't know. I really don't. Nobody wants that seat right now. Like that. And I mean, maybe K-Mag, like if you're exiting, but I don't even know if K-Mag wants that seat all that bad. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. That's hard.
That's a bad one. And I mean, because of how poorly they're doing and the fact that nobody really wants to go there.
0 points.
I mean, in my opinion, exactly right. In my opinion, you've only got rookies who would do anything just to be in Formula One, or one of the 2 drivers who's there now who will basically do anything not to leave.
Yeah.
And so I still think that Valtteri Bottas is going to take that seat. I think he's going to stay.
He's so gray though the past year or 2. Like this year for sure, last year even. Like I feel like we get more from him not doing F1 stuff than actually sitting in the seat. Maybe he does say it's just hard to tell. There's not that much emotion from Valtteri one way or the other.
I feel like it's hard to have any kind of positive emotion when you're driving that car. Like the car just sucks so bad. I feel like you could be the best driver in the world and you're going to be anonymous because you're driving the Sauber. So I don't know. I think that Valtteri, with his experience, they'll probably want to keep him around. Or, I mean, you got experience with Nico coming over, but I think Nico and Valtteri together will give them the best chance of
I think they're
turning
going to.
around.
I just don't know. I think it's Valtteri's seat if he wants it. If he doesn't, I bet Zhou, because Zhou Guan Yu wants to stay.
Oh, for sure. And he's got a lot of money with him, too.
He does.
So I don't know how much of that they need, but
I think Zhou would be the more likely. I just don't know if Valtteri wants to stay. That's kind of my big question mark.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe just you see Valtteri rode his bike across the English Channel or the Mediterranean
yes,
Strait.
I did see that.
He rode an aqua bike across some body of water. That's
doing
he loves cycling. Yeah, right.
He does. And that's like, I see more of that. I feel like you always see it on GIFs all the time still. The Drive to Survive, when they're talking about all the drivers, and the questions like, how much do you love Formula One? Everyone's like, oh, it's my world. It's everything. And it goes to Kimi Räikkönen. And he goes, it's kind of more like a hobby to me. It's like, that's how I feel like Valtteri is right now.
Yeah. Well, on the VCARB side, I think I'm holding on to hope here that after Mexico City, we're going to get the announcement that Danny's moving up to Red Bull for next year and that Liam Lawson will be taking that VCARB seat and Checo's going to get the boot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest story that seat can have, but it's going to be something along those lines. Like, I think it's relatively predictable. It's just, is it Danny, Checo, or Liam?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely one of those three. But I do think that Red Bull's going to wash their hands of Checo and bring Danny, but not before Mexico City Grand Prix.
Definitely not before Mexico, but I think if Checo's at least holding his own, it'd be kind of messed up to kick. Here's your home race. We're going to leave you here. We're out. Someone else is in. You got like 3 races left, whatever.
Oh, well, Checo will now be the only driver on one of the top 4 teams that has not won a race.
Yeah, it's not a great. How many podiums has he even been on this year? 2?
I do not know. And so what? We've got Baku coming up this week,
which he's done. He's
Baku
won.
Traditionally. He's done really well there. So I think that if he doesn't do well at this, it'll kind of tell you a lot.
Yeah.
But even if the way that Red Bull is now, man, even if he's driving his heart out, I don't know if that car will have what it takes.
Yeah, I think that's a great question because I want to, Baku has that crazy long straightaway, which is not going to be to the Mercs' advantage. I think it's going to be a McLaren Ferrari fight.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I am too.
I do like this race. So
it's a weird one, but I like it. Like,
it is that you got that weird castle section. You got these like 90-degree turns. But then
you got like a mile and a half straightaway. The drivers seem to like it a lot too. I've heard several drivers like excited for it. So,
well, my biggest excitement for this weekend is we got 2 rookies on the track now. We've got Ollie Behrman and we've got Franco Colapinto on this street circuit. So who knows what's going to happen?
I hope Ollie racks up a few more points and can continue his lead in the drivers' championship.
Oh man. Well, I think, so now we've got Aston Martin announcing that Adrian Newey's coming to the team. Like we said, there's still 2 more seats, so we'll see what happens there. But I think other than coming back in a couple of days for the prediction pod, that might be about it. You got anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, well, hey, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, Formula_America. And on that note,
stay classy, America.
We'll see you next time.